enter the US markets in the next 3 years. And therefore, I will need to also, not therefore, I will also need to enter Europe by so and so time. So will I have an office? Will I not have an office? Will I work with partners? Will I not? What do I need to? All that then leading down to literally, so what do I need to do today? What do I need to do in the next month? What is my priority for the next quarter and so on and so on. And think very, very, very detailed in terms of what is it therefore specifically that I'm going to do in the long run. Tasks, milestones, activity, this and that. This is going to be an implementation plan. Once you have that structure in place, saying that this is what I understand that I'm aiming for, and things will change, by the way. As you start doing it, it's an iterative process. Once you start doing this and once you start putting it in place, you say, no, this is not working. So you will go back. But at least now, there is some structure that seems to be coming clean into your mind, and therefore you're able to put the elements around that. Now it starts literally coming into a shape. Structure of a Excel sheet, meaning, and we'll go through that later on. Literally, without putting any number, just put the entire thing down. Okay, what are the elements in cost? What are the elements in revenues? What are the elements in terms of assumptions that I need to identify? You may have all the answers, you may not have all the answers. In many cases, you will not have many answers in yourself, which means either there is some research or meeting people and asking people what is required, or you need to make some assumptions within that data. And it is perfectly all right to make some assumptions. And that's when you start putting on your numbers into that Excel sheet after Excel sheet is done. An Excel sheet is not one document. Excel sheet is multiple documents, and the reason why you work multiple scenarios is because in any case the investors will do it if you are looking at the investors. Why you work multiple scenarios is to figure out how much wrong will I need to be to really get screwed up in this entire thing. I mean, at what stage will this company not survive, or what stage will I die, or if I assume that the conversion is going to be 2.5%, the business plan looks great. But at what stage, if the conversion is not 2.5%, if it is 1%, do I still survive or do I die? If it gets to 0.5% conversion, and things could happen, you're taking an assumption for whatever reason. At which stage, at what do I need to start cutting down? Do I need to, sorry? Minimum standard तो है नहीं इसके अंदर से. It is a question of looking at from the existing resources that I have and what I intend to do. This looks like a sensible plan for me to do. But if things start going wrong, how much wrong will they need to go before I say this is not working or this business will shut down because I run out of resources and stuff. So, yes.
And our basic premise on which the business plan is being made, that is the basis of the assumption. On the basis of the assumption.
Yes.
And the given situation, when we are operating in the world around,
yes,
then there is a lot of uncertainty.
Yes.
You are not knowing about that tomorrow dollar will be something like that, and the total plan most of the time are getting flat. In that uncertain scenario, how much one can be sure about it that you can lead to the success of it.
So I will come to that. So the quality of assumptions that you make, literally, what is a good plan or a bad plan? A good plan is of course one that has got all levels of sensible thinking that has been put into place as structures. All these are things that I need to think about. But a more successful plan will be the one on which the quality of assumptions is proving out fairly accurate in the market. There will be many assumptions that you will take in which things are not working according to what you have done. But the point is that business is not dependent on only one assumption. If 100% of your assumptions go wrong, then you are in trouble. But if 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 of your assumptions are going wrong, at least you can make adjustments later. If so, for example, if you know that your conversion rates are half of what you have assumed, a whole lot of implications that it has on the business. But on the other hand, if you assume that I'm going to be selling to B2B customers, and I had assumed a 3-month conversion cycle from the first meeting to the customer signing up, and that is taking about 5 months time rather than 3 months time. or in 6 months' time, there are minor adjustments that you will need to make, largely in the cash flow and the fund flow. Assumptions will go wrong. Assumptions are assumptions. आपने सोचा था, it doesn't really mean that the market has to behave like that. And if it does today, doesn't really mean that
Actually, for making the assumption, one is to use a very broader spectrum. I want to say that you have to look at the world. You may be doing in India, but things are doing something wrong in any other country, and that is having a direct impact on India because we are operating in a global system. That is a basic problem.
At the early stages of the, and we'll come to that in a few slides. At the early stages of the company, the macroeconomics really don't matter unless you are dependent on something else that has a macroeconomic impact. In most cases, in the first 6 months of the company, 9 months of the company, 12 months, depending on what stage that you are in. By the way, I mean, you hear many things about investments are drying up, this and that. Investments are drying up if you need 100 crores. If you need 1 crore, 2 crore, if you have a sensible plan, there is enough money available. So we are talking about the starting up phase in terms of literally in terms of doing that. In that, macroeconomics really don't have a role to play, and if they do, it needs to be factored in as a part of the risk assessment in terms of how it should be, and in any case that will be cyclical. After you have done all of this, is then when a business plan presentation or a Word document comes into place. Business plan is very easy. If you look at the internal and external users that we have, each person will have are you able to see these words clearly? Can we switch up this slide?
It is not
So what plan you present to your potential partners, for example, is going to be a very different business plan versus what you provide for investors for funding or what you provide to your board members and stuff like that. The story will still be the same. The interpretation of that is going to be very different in how you represent that. It is still a business plan, but it is a different PowerPoint that we would and we'll come to what the presentation is. The process is pretty much, I sometimes say it's like a journey. Suppose today you were to decide to take a holiday. You will first decide in terms of where do I want to go. Do I want to go to a beach place? Do I want to go to a jungle place? Do I want to go to a whatever kind? So those are it's like therefore choosing what is the business that I want to be. Now assume that you decide to go to Bangalore for holiday. I'm just taking an example. Then it's a question of doing the strategy. You can go by train, you can go by bus, you can go by road, you can fly, you can do whatever, you can drive, you can go by road. These are the various choices that are available to you, and these are some choices that you will make. I may say I want to enjoy the India and whatever I see, and therefore that's my priority of being able to see different places. In which case, flying would be the last choice that I would have, or that would be the wrong choice. Driving would be, for somebody else, it would say, I want to reach there the fastest and I want to spend time there. Then in which case, flying will. So that's the strategy that you are choosing, exactly how you would choose for your business as well. That is where I want to go. What are the different choices available and what do I do? After you push it, sir, in terms of assumptions, these are the things. If you decide to drive, you would say, I will leave in the morning, and if I go into this direction, I will reach, say, Delhi by so and so. The fact is that, and that's the market, is saying that if you do, this is the available, say, target audience. So going up, if I go in this direction, I will reach Delhi is a fact, which is what your research or your knowledge will tell you. Your assumption would be that I will reach Delhi in 4.5 hours. Now that may go wrong. That may go wrong by saying that you either reach in 3.5 hours or you reach in 6.5 hours because of various reasons that are not dependent. You say I will drive at this speed, but because what you have to do is you have to look at the end journey and say, okay, I have lost 2.5 hours here. Which are the places in which I will be able to make adjustments on the way? And rather than spending an overnight here and leaving at 8:30 there, I will leave at 4:30 or 5:30 to make up 4.5 hours because I expect a similar thing there. And that's exactly what your film in your mind has to be in terms of saying that what is it that I'm going through as far as direction of the business is concerned, what are the milestones where I'm going to stop? And pretty much like you take a night halt and say, let me relax and let me sort of understand, you make up your thing and you go. Similarly, at what milestone do you need to step back, evaluate what you've been able to achieve, what are the things that we need to make, etc. What worked, what did not work, and move on. One of the things that is very important, not in the planning process but the implementation process, is that you learn a lot from your mistakes. You never learn anything from your successes. Successes, you buy cake, beer, whatever for your staff, you celebrate and you reward. Nobody sits down to say, okay, hey, let's meet tomorrow and let us figure out why this went right. You will only do that when things go wrong. Then let's come together and figure out why it went right. It is very, very important in a growing stage company to figure out why that thing went right in the first place, because that is what you want to replicate in 100 other places. You are doing a pilot, you are doing something, and almost every company, whether good or bad, will analyze their mistakes and they will avoid it. But it doesn't really help you in scaling up anything, because till you don't know what worked, you really can't replicate what worked. Many people come to us with business plans saying, hey, look, this is what I want to do. So we ask them, where's the plan? This is an idea, where's the plan? Most people don't understand the concept of building a business around the concept. Most people think that the concept is the business. Just to illustrate an example, somebody will say, I want to make a chain of coffee stores. Why? Because I've been the head of product at Barista, and all the imported coffees and all that, I used to be the one who selected those, and we dated that. I know what best the coffee is, and therefore I want to start my own chain of coffee. Okay? But if you think about it, a coffee chain has nothing to do with coffee. It has to do with coffee, but that's just incidental. You would have done anything else. It's more about real estate management, facilities management, production, standardization, processes, training people, a whole bunch of things. And this is the business of coffee versus coffee. And that is one significant, when you plan a business, when you do your business plan, this is what we need to plan around. And these are the components around which we need to start making our ideas. Sir, excuse me, the seat here. There are many things that are, these are the things that you will put your Excel sheet around, and these are the dynamics of the business which you will do people understand the difference between marketing and sales? Marketing is about how you will reach those people, and sales is about once you have come in front of that customer, how will you convert that customer into a sale. So CRM, incentives, tactics, etc., all go into that front. 3 months free trial is part of your sales strategy. Focusing on PR and getting 3 articles out in the papers to announce your thing is your marketing strategy. So which means that if you, I went and took 4 journalists out for lunch and explained to them what I do, is part of serious work that you are doing as a part of your marketing plan. Now, because e-commerce was a flavor of the day, I have taken an example in terms of what is the business around e-commerce that we do. Most people assume, saying that, that Flipkart is such a terrible UI, I can do a much better UI, look at this UI that we've done, doesn't it look full of fun? But just because you built a much better looking coffee shop than Barista, doesn't mean that you need to be the leader in the coffee. Microsoft is a great example. Everybody agrees and believes that Microsoft not necessarily is the best software available, but they are the best software technology business in the world. The product does not necessarily have to be the cutting edge. An idea does not necessarily have to be radical and dynamic. Look at ClearTrip. ClearTrip is the second largest, or I think now coming to close to the heels in the online travel agency. What great idea did they have? Nothing. Make My Trip has been doing an online ticketing agency for years now before they came into play. But they built an extremely strong business around that entire thing in terms of CRM, this, that. I mean, you try doing this go to after you sign in into ClearTrip, register, sign in into ClearTrip, try up and give your right phone numbers and stuff. Go to a particular booking, go up to the buying page and don't conclude the transaction. In 10 minutes time, somebody will call you up. Somebody will call you up and say, sir or lady, you tried to make this booking, you failed, can I help you with that entire? That is the business of travel agency, not the clean UI and stuff. They are good and they are number two because they understand the business of customer relationship management, this, that, etc. Saying after you get your ticket, immediately getting a thing saying that, oh, you know, you're traveling to Bombay, would you like to have a hotel? Here are the range of hotels that are available. Would you like a taxi? Would you like that? Cost of customer acquisition gets down when you try to sell, when you're able to sell multiple products. If you think about it, and this is, I'm no expert in e-commerce. I don't know e-commerce business. This is what I could think about. And you know, if you do a brainstorming for 20 more minutes, I think we'll probably fill up 10 more slides like this with the details of what needs to happen within that. Any questions so far?
Okay. So, what do you think? Like, I mean, for example, if somebody's like already created makemarket.com, say 10 years back,
Yes.
and somebody, you know, comes out with a like, I mean, an inspired plan, say cleartrip.com, is it usually funded? Because it's sort of the very, very, say 85 or 90% similar business model.
So there are enough cases of companies having been funded for doing something if they have a plan of business. So one, if the market is growing significantly, when MakeMyTrip came into play, the market was very, very small. The entire ecosystem in terms of number of people, internet connections, ability to use credit cards, all of that was very small. Had that been a saturated market where MakeMyTrip was an 80% market leader in a market that was growing at 3% in terms of number of people, it would have been very difficult for. In a market, they were maybe a 95% market leader in a market that was growing at 300%. There was enough room for other people to come into it. You know, there are enough categories in which you can create a niche play as well, and especially when you go into mature categories and mature markets, you will find that there is very little room for anything to be done. In which case, niche plays which are targeting either a sliver of this. And the reason why niche plays etc. get funded is not because they are going to be staying niche. A niche is not a business proposition or a business case. A niche is an entry strategy, saying that I will enter into the market using this, I will get into X number of customers or X number of this. Once you have a significant base, it gives you the right and the resources to do anything else that is adjacent or parallel to the product. I mean, today, Larsen & Toubro has picked up Fidelity's mutual fund business. What does an engineering company have to do with it? But now they have a scale and the resources to go and do anything else that they think that they will be able to do there. A niche, many people when they think of their business plan, think that but they do everything, we are only doing this. And that's fine if you're doing only this. But if you continue to doing this for the next 25 years of your life, there is no business case for anybody. If it's almost like saying, I'm going to start a coffee shop which serves just the base pastry and just one coffee. That's fine. That's a nice positioning and you might get something going up. But once you get that customer in, it will be interesting for you to sell other things to him. Otherwise, it really doesn't make business. So, a short answer to your question is yes, it is possible to. Yes.
This business plan so far. Flexibility in the business plan for is related to the size as well. If the size is very big, then it is very difficult to change the business plan in midway or subsequently to make the things very difficult.
So for the
size is small, then it is possible.
So for the time being, we are talking about a business plan which is at the starting up stage of a business. If you look at, if this is where you are starting up and this is where you are trying to grow, I think that this is where I will be a 1,000 crore company. This is where you will go from here. Irrespective whether you want to go here or here or here, probably the first 12-18 months of your life is not going to change. This is going to be your direction in any case. So if you want to think of this business plan of creating the foundation of where you want to go. Now going from here to here, here to here are different plans. I agree the risks here are going to be because your investments will be different, your commitments will be different and stuff. Assumptions going wrong in that case are going to be very but in this phase, the 12, 18, 24 months, your assumptions etc. will also what is important for you to understand is that in the first phases of your 12, 18 months, 24 months of your company are when the assumptions have a role to play. After that, your business should have enough data to get predictability about how things happen. You can't say that my assumption is 3% will convert. It cannot be after the first stage, which is where you say, okay, I've graduated from my starting off phase and now I'm a growth stage company. At that growth stage company, your plans have, why is an Infosys able to give you a quarter by quarter analysis of how much your earning per share is going to be with a confidence of about 90-95% in terms of where they will be on the road. Why does it is because the business has the predictability has set in into the business. You can if I go and do this is what will happen. As a result of this will happen. The only thing that the market bets on Infosys is them being able to do that well. There is no, or if